And good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are. I am Marcus Holmes, HR Passion Guy, Love and Stuff Activist, Mr. Gratefulness, you name it. And I am the facilitator of the Love and Stuff community. Take a moment and click share and tag someone to join us in tonight's discussion. You will be absolutely glad that you did. So tag 5 of your closest friends, 5 of your more popular friends to join in the discussion. We are live via Restream here on the Love and Stuff page and the Marcus R. Holmes page on Facebook, as well as on YouTube events, on IG Live on Instagram, and on Twitch TV. And I would ask that all of you that are joining whichever platform that you are on would click share and tag someone to join in the discussion. Hello, our senior associate producer has arrived, and thank you so much. I hope that others will click share and tag others to join us in what I believe will be an awesome discussion. We have a guest who is en route, and hopefully we can get her in just a moment. While we're doing that, I hope that you will click share and tag someone to join us in the discussion. I see that she has arrived. And just before I bring her live on the screen, click share and tag someone to join in this discussion. If you've ever thought of beautiful inside and out, and you want to talk about beautiful inside and out, I want you to tune in today. I think we've got a wonderful guest, and I think we're going to have some wonderful opportunity to have a great discussion. So click share and tag someone to join us in the discussion right now. Click share right now, wherever you are, whether you are on Facebook, whether you are on IG Live, whether you're on YouTube events, whether you're on Twitch TV, click the share button and tag someone to join us now. I am going to bring her on momentarily, but just before I do, I want to hear from you and drop in the comments, of course, wherever you are around the world, on whichever platform you may be on. And when you hear that word beauty, I want you to tell me what comes to your mind when you hear that word beauty. All right, I want you to be thinking of that as we are going to just tag a few more people to join us before we bring our guest in. I certainly hope that you will tag a few folks to join us. When you hear that All right, a few more folks to join us. All right. Thank you. Beauty has just come in. I see another beauty, Lily Craig, First Lady of the Craig Tabernacle Church, another beauty. So I want to have some conversation with all of these beautiful people that are joining, and click share and tag someone to join us as I prepare to bring on our guest today, who I think is a fitting example of that beauty. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk a little bit more about beauty as it relates to our continued discussion around self-care. You know, we've been talking about self-care after our gratefulness challenge. Our gratefulness challenge had us on a 7-week stretch of gratefulness, and we haven't stopped being grateful. We're just not in a specific challenge, but we're going to be in another challenge around self-care. And gratefulness matches that self-care. And we're going to talk more about that because there's a part of your brain, parts of your brain in the cortex that are designed for gratefulness to help shape what you think about you and what you think about self-care. All right. So I'm just tagging a few folks. Our senior associate producer, if you will do me the great justice, the great help of tagging those groups that are connected to Love and Stuff, we will just jump right in and prepare to bring in our special guest. And here she is. I hope that I can hear. Can I hear you? I cannot hear you. I can see you. And maybe if you're going through your browser, there should be a spot at the top that asks you to activate your mic. And if you miss that spot, you might have to go out and come back in. And the first thing it'll tell you to do is to give it access to your camera and mic. We definitely want her in. Isn't she beautiful? She'll be right back, but isn't she beautiful? Give me some likes and loves. So we want to talk with her, and I'm going to do a little bit of introduction to her in a minute. But while we're doing that, I hope you will click share and tag someone to join us in that conversation. J. Gerald, if you can go through Love and Stuff, you can tag those other groups. You can share this, not on the Love and Stuff page, but share this in those groups, those other Love and Stuff groups that are connected to the Love and Stuff page. So I hope that you can do that, and we'll do that for us now. And while our senior associate producer is doing that, I hope that you will click share and tag someone as well, whether you are on IG Live, Facebook Live, YouTube events, or Twitch TV. We want you to click share and tag someone to join us in this discussion. It's going to be a great discussion, and I'm so excited that you are here with me on this Tuesday evening. And on this Tuesday evening, as I started to say, as I was so excited to see our guests pop up, you know that you can purchase the Love and Stuff gear at our Shopify store through Love and Stuff page. But we also have our first book out, right? The Gratefulness Journey Every Day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? And the reason I raise it is because we're talking about self-care. And there's a part of this regimen that I write about in the book that connects with the cortex of your brain. God is awesome. Awesome isn't even a fair word to describe him, right? But he created our brain so that we can process our own self-reference, our reference of self, through the memory that we create in our brain. Good evening, Rochelle Weathers, one of the best people in the world. Click share and tag someone to join us. I'm bringing on Shontel Michelle Jackson, who I don't see in the second. And give her a second. Maybe her connection is a little something.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I can hear your voice now, but I can't see your face now.
Hallelujah.
Come on, call on them.
Wow, I did everything you told me to do. So you still
okay? And so you're for some reason, let's see, your camera in the top of the browser, maybe there is a line through the camera.
No, sir.
Maybe at the bottom of your screen, there's a menu that has a mic and a camera. Now I'm seeing you. Okay, you popped in, then you popped out. Okay. Now on the live, I can see you, just not on my screen here. So you look like you're on the live, and I can see you on the live. For some reason, I can see you on the other screen, but okay.
Okay.
All right.
And they can hear it. Rochelle said she could hear and see too. So
okay. All right. So in my backstage, I'm having trouble seeing you, but that's okay. I can glance to the left or right. Welcome, and thank you for being here with me. I know you're on the go a little bit, but I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for joining. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so used to saying thank you for joining.
Right.
Thank you for inviting me, Marcus. This is a pleasure to be on your platform, Love and Stuff. So I'm excited. So let's get to it. Yeah.
I'm excited too. And one of the reasons I'm excited, of course, I've known you for many years, haven't got the chance to spend a lot of time with you over the years, but I've known you for a long time.
Absolutely.
And you have always had this, you have this sweet, generous heart about you, but you also have this go-getter in you. So they're kind of opposites a little bit. You might not expect somebody to have that sweet part of you to be as much a go-getter as you are a go-getter. And so I know you list on your profile an entrepreneur, but aren't you really a serialpreneur? Don't you have a bunch of businesses?
You know what, Marcus, that is so true. So I think I'm going to change that today. Thank you for bringing that to light. I am a serialpreneur, mom of 3 amazing children. I'm almost I have an empty nest. My son's graduating 18. My daughter he's graduating from high school. And then my daughter graduated from college last year. And then Jonathan, my youngest, will be going to the 10th grade. So yeah, I'm a serialpreneur. Yeah, this is interesting. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, you always have been kind of that savvy person, I would say. And so I want to talk to you a little bit because we're talking about self-care somewhat. And I want to connect that discussion around self-care about the value that you put into Shontel, okay? Because on the outside, you are beautiful. And to me, just telling a little bit of your story, you used to be, I would say, more fuller figure beautiful, right? You were always beautiful to me.
Thank you,
okay?
Mark.
but now you done hourglass shaped it, right? And you've always been beautiful, but okay, you're beautiful on the outside. What do you put and care for on the inside that shows up as beautiful on the outside?
Well, I must say that absolutely, you knew me when I was almost probably about 400 pounds.
Wow, I never knew it was 400.
Yeah, I just always people always said I carried it gracefully. And I actually used to hear this a lot, that you have such a pretty face. And I
Mm-hmm.
that coming up a lot. And people thought that was a compliment, but actually it was not, because that showed that they were only looking at they were only attributing my beauty to my face and
Mm-hmm.
not to the whole part of me. So that really gave me a low self-esteem complex about
Mm-hmm.
myself growing up in that state, and even into an older, into a mature woman, out even being married. When I got married, it was really on the first time. It was really on the preface of, because he liked me, I didn't really like him like that. If that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And so it has been a journey to love myself from the inside out. So
Mm-hmm.
cover up the pain, I would dress up. My grandmother raised me always as a, frilly dresses, the puffy socks, and I couldn't wear makeup. Now I had a jerry curl, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a greasy face, but I could wear some lip gloss, could some earrings, and this always taught me to be a lady. So it
Mm-hmm.
came from my grandmother, the one just always teaching me to be a lady, walk like a lady, talk like a lady, be a lady, Shontel. That's what you always say, because I had this real exuberant personality, very loud, and like you said, a go-getter ever since I was a little girl. But
Mm-hmm.
learning to love myself has really, and from the inside out, and to put things on it, really has, in the past, I would say 5 years, I
Mm-hmm.
really, even though I lost 214 pounds
Wow.
over 21 years ago, I
Congratulations.
saw myself as that fat girl growing
Wow.
up. So the doctor, I never forget, because I had the gastric bypass about 20 plus years ago. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, well, that's the easy way out. No, it wasn't, because I still had to change the way I ate. My stomach was literally cut in half. So I couldn't,
Mm-hmm.
even though my eyes would see the food or whatever, my mind still said, fill your plate up. But my stomach said, no, you're not. And so
Mm-hmm.
the doctor told me, I never forget, the doctor said, he said, well, take your mind. You will lose weight in about 2 years, all your weight, but it's going to take your mind about 5 years to catch up with your new look.
Wow.
Yeah, so I always see myself as that, 300, 400 pound young lady. And
Wow.
I had lost over that much, almost two people, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's still not liking who Shontel was,
Mm-hmm.
even everybody, you so pretty, you this and you that. I'm like, what I don't see what everybody see. And so
Mm.
what happened, let me tell you, reason, that's why I know the enemy tried to fight me to get on here tonight, because I want to share my story, because recently, even though you've known me this long, you probably did not know I was struggling all this time up until about, I'm going to say, really this year, to
Wow.
invest in me, in the
Wow.
inside of me, because I
Wow.
did hair and you don't see my hair all kind of ways, lipstick, makeup, all these things that I still was struggling in my self-worth.
Wow.
So this year, God began to tell me, he said, invest in you. So I was like, okay, God, what does that mean? What do I do? He said, on the inside. He said,
Wow.
on the inside of you. So I began to go through therapy, Marcus, because I thought, I was okay, because I've been raised in the church. My parents are pastors, and we done went through deliverance. We done cried over the buckets and snotted and all kind of stuff. I done been sung in the choir. Everything that I'm thinking, I'm okay, because even from who I come from, you all,
Mm-hmm.
y'all don't have no. I was hurting. I was wounded. I was
Wow.
heal. And a lot of those things, I'll never forget my pastors, who are my pastors now. I would get in these bursts of anger. Like, if you made me mad, that was not a good thing. Like, so, and it would be mostly towards like my children. And so I
Mm-hmm.
cried out to God one day, God, I don't want this no more. I don't want to keep lashing out. When I get upset, it's really not towards them. It's towards some things that's going on inside of me that I have not dealt with. And so,
Mm-hmm.
for short, um God began to tell me to invest in me. I invested into a therapist and a coach, and I began to see my life change this year for the better. People saying you're glowing, it's all because I decided to invest inside of Shontel.
Wow, that is so awesome. And you're right. A lot of this I'm not knowing. And just, from our brief discussion when I joined your live, I said I gotta have her on. And I had no idea that it would line up so perfectly, but that's how God works, right? It would line up so perfectly with the inside out. Because I've always thought of you as being beautiful. I never thought, but I've always been around all different kind of women. So large women, small women. And what I think we don't do in our community is we don't tell people. I didn't tell you. Of course, you were married at one point, so I don't think I would be trying to tell you, but we don't tell people how beautiful they are. And it doesn't have to be because you're hitting on somebody, right? But
Right.
we got to reinforce into people because I saw you as beautiful, but you might not have seen you as beautiful, right? And I'm like other people that may have told you this. I would have never known you were 400 pounds because you carried it so well to me.
Yeah, people
You were
always
just a voluptuous, full-figured woman to me. And I thought, oh, and funny. And I would tell Rashida, oh, she's so funny. I just love her because you were always kind and sweet. And I was just talking to somebody else. People do mistake that men just want beauty and booty, forgive the phrase. But what a man really wants when he's choosing a wife is he wants peace. And
Ooh,
he wants to know that that woman is at peace with herself, with her family, with her life, right? And so I always thought you were beautiful, not knowing you were having the struggle. So I want to double back. You said your husband was liked you, but you didn't really like him. What have you learned about that? Your first husband, who I
God.
believe is gone on to be with the Lord. Is that right?
Since on back in 2012, he did pass away.
Yeah.
But what happened was, unfortunately, during that time, he was great. My children's father, great man. Oh my
Mhm.
God! Like in retrospect, now the Shontel who I am now should have met him now, but he's dead. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. But Shontel then did not like herself.
Mhm.
I was super mean. People are telling me you met the night part. I had like I guess these two personalities. I'm like, you made me mad. It was just over. Like the anger issues that I was dealing with was
Mhm.
this. I'm hearing about some of the damage that I made, that happened, and I had
Mhm.
to go back and and gain forgiveness from some people, even
Mhm.
past relationships and things like that.
Oh no. Uh-oh. She popped out.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm on a
Okay.
Wi-Fi. Is that better? Are
Yeah,
we?
you're back.
All right. So what I was saying was, so my family members, remain nameless, begin to say, this man likes you, so you better like him because I was heavy. They was like, this may be your last chance. He's a good man, which they were right. But I just really married him because at the time I was like, okay, everybody like him. He liked me, so I'm like him back. And I might not be in a position ever to get a man of, like him. And so that wasn't a good way to start off a marriage because it's almost, in retrospect, it was almost arranged. Although nobody put a gun to my head, didn't say,
Right.
nobody threatened me. But
Mhm.
mind. So when a seed is planted in your mind, if you already in a vulnerable state, you are liable to do, if you don't have your own mindset, you going by what everybody else is saying for you, then that's when you can create problems, not just for you, but it could be a ricochet effect, domino effect. In retrospect, we have three beautiful children. So I don't regret marrying him, but it was a
Mhm.
learning lesson on how to choose for Shontel, and Shontel needs to be healed and whole before I try to go into any other relationships like that.
Wow, you are dropping some major gems because I think what I'm hearing you say is you have to love yourself before you enter into a relationship to commit to somebody else. And you might find that you dislike somebody because you don't love yourself. You can't really fully give yourself to the process of fully loving somebody like you should if you're not really fully loving yourself.
True. That's exactly what I just said. Literally,
Wow.
I did
Wow.
not. I could not, and I told him because I ultimately wanted to end the marriage because I felt bad. I'm like, you need to be with somebody that really loves you. Like, you are a great man. That's how I ended
Mhm.
it. And he didn't want, of course, he didn't want to end it, but finally he saw I was serious. He's like, well, you're right, and so he ended up leaving. But unfortunately, he did pass away.
Wow. We are talking with uh, serialpreneur Shontel Michelle Jackson, who is, I promise you, as beautiful on the inside as she is, you see on the outside, but she's sharing with us about the beauty from the inside out that I think we all need to discover in self-care. So thank all of you that are joining us. I hope you will click share, whether you are on Facebook Live, IG Live, YouTube events, or Twitch TV. Click share right now and tag 5 of your closest friends, 5 of your more popular friends to join in this discussion about becoming beautiful from the inside out. Thank you, Rochelle Weathers and Brenda Hall and Sea Animal Satin Angel. I'm sorry. Author Destiny Love Harrison. Thank you for joining us. Teresa Prince, Bilal Muhammad. Thank you so much. Lily Craig, thank you so much. Vicki Johnson Williams. And I hope all of you that are here will click share and tag someone to join us. I love that you wanted him to find a love that you felt that he deserved, even though you didn't, some people, Shontel, would hold on to people even if they're miserable. But it sounds like you said, hey, you deserve a better love than what I'm giving to you now. I think that is awesome. Let me ask you this. You were doing hair, and I've seen you with all kind of hairstyles, doing, dressing and all of that stuff. Were you doing that? You talked about your grandmother always dressed you up. Was that because that was your second nature, or was that in some way your way of covering yourself up or making yourself feel good? What would you say that is or was about?
Well, I would say it was probably a little bit of both, Marcus, because I
Okay.
was raised that way. It was second nature for me to actually, be this girly girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I was, it's even in our family. And I even told, like, my birth mother, on my aunties on that side was just like, this is how your mom was. Like, your mom was like beautiful, before she got on drugs. She was beautiful. Like, she would dress, she wore her hair this way, and she had a beautiful spirit. She loved that. She was a people person. So then, of course, on top of trying to make sure that I covered what was going on the inside with makeup and hair and all the nails. And I've been getting my nails done since I was like 16, and I'm 40. I'll be 46 in about a month. And it's just like, yeah, this is what helped me to mask the pain that was happening on the inside. And so when people tell me today that you're glowing, I know it's coming from the inside. It's coming from, yeah.
And so you talked a little bit about your mom and her having a substance abuse challenge. How did that? Because you had a bonus mom, a grandmom, a mom. How did those 3 influences impact how you thought about yourself?
Well, definitely. Speaking of my bonus mom, Dr. Beverly Jackson, she actually was very integral in some of the, helping me. She used to always want to. We used to go every time I would come home, because we would come back and forth from Kentucky growing up, and we would always go on a summer diet, and so she tried her best. Her and my dad just really try to help me lose weight, but of course, it has to start with Shontel.
Right.
And they did what they could, and she would always, show me different ways to put on makeup, how to do my hair. And I really looked up to her and how she dressed and how she carried herself, even around other women and things like that. Never in competition. Just always this she's a lady's lady, her. So she don't play. She dresses, and she has grace and poise. So that's the natural part. I didn't get a chance to grow up or really see my mother in the state that my birth mother in the state that all my aunties and some of the people, and even my dad's sisters and her sisters, saw her in before she, got addicted to drugs. So I didn't get to, but I did get to experience her kindness. When I got older, not as a child, but when I got older, her kindness and just her good heart. So I just believe that all plays a part. My grandmother, like I said, who went on to be with the Lord back in 2015, who raised me, she's a beautiful woman, praying woman, a very low. She was loud in her own way, but not in her mouth. I mean, but you knew her presence when she was there. And even my bonus grandmother, Corrine Bozeman, just taught us how to cook, taught us how to clean, just etiquette and things like that. So all those ladies played a very integral part in my life. And even saying, like, my aunties, my dad's sisters, he had 6 sisters. They all, were women of great serialpreneurs and women who commanded the room, but they walked with grace. And some of them, were still, the women in our family were heavy, And so that was something, but I saw them still carry themselves with grace. And they used to tell us, oh, still love yourself. I don't care how you look, whatever. Love yourself from the inside out. Like, love yourself. Put something on the inside. So it would exude on the outside. So that's what you see now. This is definitely, I'm still a work in process, but we used to say in church, I ain't where I used. I might not be where I want to be, but I sure ain't where I used to be. Amen.
Yeah. And I know, I just want to say about Dr. Beverly, you took a word out of my mouth. I think of her as class and poise. And so, and I think, though you're a work in progress, I think that influence is clear to me on you. I think the grace, I think that when I think of her, I think of someone who can navigate with all different types of people and still have grace and poise and integrity. So I think some of that landed well with you. So that's great. And again, that sweet side, you're right. I didn't get the mean side. I would have never described you as mean. And, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I would have told you, you're mean. But I got the sweet side of you. So that transferred from your mom naturally. I want to move and talk to you a little bit about after you had the gastric bypass surgery, which there are still tons of people, Shontel, that will not admit they've had that surgery. So I don't know what that's about, but I appreciate your transparency. You had that surgery, and after that, you were saying you still felt like this fat girl, your words.
Yeah.
And so talk to women who might be considering that or who's struggling with their weight about what they need to do to feed the inner soul doing that. How did you get to a journey to feed yourself? I know you said it took you years to get there, but how do you get to a journey of feeding yourself?
Well, once again, processing, first of all, the trauma of growing, especially if it's been a struggle all your life. So that's what it was for me. Some people might have been skinny all through high school and all through school, and then they got older and got, gained some weight. And them too. It's a process. You have to really begin to love yourself right where you're at, right? So if you are 400 pounds and you love yourself, take care of yourself. Do what you need to do for yourself, and don't let other people's outlook on you. Like I said, they tell me you have such a pretty face, and that brought on the spirit of rejection, because I'm like, well, all they see is my face. But first of all, I'm fat, excuse me, BBWs are beautiful. People, it's somebody for everybody, right? And in retrospect, I didn't like that. It wasn't a compliment. It was a compliment that they thought they were giving me, but it was not. So it brought on a spirit of rejection. And in having that spirit, it will, cause a lot of other things to transpire in your life that may be on the negative side. So I would say, first of all, love yourself right where you're at. And then if you decide you want to lose weight, if you decide you don't want to lose weight, you do it for you, not because you're trying to get a man, not because you're trying to get a woman, not because you're trying to get a job, trying to get people to accept you. You love yourself right where you're at. And then as for health reasons, of course, you don't want to keep going because as you get older, it's harder to get off and different things like that. So you want to do this for yourself. I did this, I looked at my daughter. I'll never forget. I looked at her. She's 23 now. She was about 2 years old. I said, Lord, I don't want to be her to ever. I don't want to have to go to her school and the children begin to talk about her mom. Because I wasn't, thank God, I wasn't sick, didn't have high blood pressure, nothing. You said it. I carried it well. I did. People, even the doctor was like, you just a healthy big girl. That's what he said. This is what the doctor says to me. He said, you're beautiful. He said, you just need to do this, one, for yourself. He said, you need to do this for your children so they can see you live, a long time. So those were the two reasons. I think you might have some children, you might, that you want to see yourself healthy too. So that was my journey. And I would say to any woman or anyone watching, dealing with any kind of weight issues, do it for you first, not for anybody.
And how do you go about building up your inner self? I know one of the ingredients, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but how do you go about building up your inner self so that you feel that you're worthy, that you feel that you're worth, being the best that you can be and being all that you are? How did you go about doing that?
Well, first of all, prayer. Man, my journey is just knowing God for myself and really developing a relationship with Father and myself, knowing Him as Father.
Mm-hmm.
As Abba has transcended my life, and it started with my second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It started with that marriage. It taught me a lifestyle of prayer, not just praying
Mm-hmm.
when I needed something, not just praying or hanging off my parents' prayers. Because many years, this being transparent, and once again, my dad is one of the greatest men of God that walked this earth, that has walked this earth. And I literally would hang. Look, he said it is gold. I didn't have my relationship with God. It wasn't in tune. I crutched on his relationship, and God was like, "No, I'm calling
Mm-hmm.
you out. I'm calling you out, and I want you to come from the familiar place because I'm going to show you I'm your blessing, your exceedingly great reward." And called me out of my father's church about 3 years ago. And this journey has taught Shontel how to eat out of the hand of God, her and
Mm-hmm.
her family, how to eat out of his hand. Prayer has been essential. I learned prayer from my grandmother. I learned prayer from my parents. And I learned prayer just from just studying and seeing individuals studying prayer, and the keys to prayer. And the key to prayer for me is praying the word of God.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying when I was on your live. I believe there's a part of you that repels a man who doesn't have that ingredient because it's a part of your self-care now. So a man that doesn't have you were saying I need a man that's a worshiper and loves the Lord. But what I kept hearing and what you were saying was that foundation of prayer that you built, that lifestyle of prayer is a part of your self-care now. It's a part of the way that you replenish and recharge and remind yourself that you're connected to God and you belong to God, and there's a worthiness that comes with that. If a man doesn't have that, something in your inside repels him. Even though you might find him attractive on the outside, if he doesn't have that basic ingredient, that's what I think in you repels him.
You know what, Marcus? You just that is so true because I tried it. You hear me? Even in this season of being in position to be a wife, I don't say waiting anymore. I'm in position, Lord. Where you at? I'm swearing, but anyway. But listen, I'm like, God, Lord, I've been like approached lately by some real caliber type men, like millionaires, multi-millionaires. And I keep hearing, like, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Mm,
But this man got the money. I'll be stable. We'll be fine here. But he said, but can he pray? You,
mm,
you were rich, but can you pray? If
mm,
I lay on the sick bed or the bed of affliction, can you pray me out of that? Or you gonna be sitting there talking about what saying, repeating what the doctor said? If we
mhm,
lose or whatever, when anything happens, my first reaction is to pray. But
mhm,
of course, it's the cuss and fuss. And I'm not judging nobody. Listen, this is what the journey God has given me. And this is what, like you said, I know it's part of my lifestyle. It's part of my self-care. So I know, like the other day I woke up, I was feeling real weird. It was like crazy. And our default mind, because our mind is built on like negativity, because that's all we hear all day. And so it's focused on that. And so it was going to that first. And I said, no. Then I captivated or captured those thoughts, and I begin to say, no, I am healed. Whatever this is, symptoms go, begin to pray. And immediately that thing dissipated. So I rejoice right there in my room, like, God,
mhm,
that's what he wants us to do.
mhm.
So yeah, you're right. Yeah, he has to have an element of, I'm a fiery prayer. I'm a preacher by nature. He don't have to be all extra like me. Like one of my friends called me extra, like, you were extra with it. I'm like, but that's what I know. So, he can't, no, I can't be backsliding for no man. Not no more. I've done that before.
Yeah. You have to be who you are, and a man that is truly interested in who you are will come to know that.
Right.
But I think you would recognize that if a brother doesn't have that prayer life, it's going to show up pretty quickly.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Help me, Lord.
yeah. Even if he's in the stratosphere, as you said, he's on levels as a millionaire or billionaire, right? Even if he's on that level, if he doesn't have that ingredient of self-care, that's not going to work for you.
No.
Yeah.
I,
You talked about in the last 5 years how you've really started to come into this journey of loving yourself. What led you there? Can you share with us what happened that led you to say, okay, I really need to start loving Shontel?
Well, I got married a second time, very quickly. I met this guy off online, and we were engaged, met, dated for a minute, got engaged, married all 1 year, literally in a matter of 9 months.
Mm.
And although it seemed like, everybody once again not really knowing and having that relationship with the Father, knowing Jesus, God as Father. I'm listening to everybody else. Oh, he a good guy. Oh, we like him. My daddy like him. My mama like him. My children like everybody like him. I like him. The sons and the everything is lining up. We get married. We're gonna be together forever. The money came together. We got married in 90 days.
Wow.
$12,000 wedding. That quick.
Wow.
That was my second wedding. So I wanted to. We had to pay for it, right?
Right.
We came up with like $12,000 in a matter of weeks.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, we in the deep. We this is God all day. But I saw some things that were red flags, but I ignored them because everybody likes them. I didn't consult God. The Bible says, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he would direct thy path.
Mm-hmm.
I said, listen, we were living together. So I knew that was wrong. Not according to the word of God. You live with somebody, that's between you and God. I ain't here to judge nobody. For me, that's not what I desire to do, but I've done it. And so I can testify about it that for me, that's not what I desire to do anymore. So, but I knew we had to come together and marry. So in retrospect, it wasn't God. In 2 years of that, I almost lost my life. I almost lost my sanity. And that's when I found out I didn't know Shontel, did not love Shontel, because some of the things I endured in it, in that relationship, I had, it's now God. I used to say, well, that was a mistake. No, God said it was a learning experience. He said, now you can help somebody else get through if they're going through that. So I began to say, to go into prayer. I never forget 2013 when I began to see things after we said I do light up. And, I'm just like, abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, addicted to porn. He was addicted to porn. Didn't know that he smoked. I didn't know that. I had heard that he used to smoke, but he actually still smoked. And very abusive emotionally. And that one almost took me out, Marcus, like mentally, physically, emotionally. So in retrospect, he put his hands on me for the second time in the time we were married, and I just said, you got to get some help because we're going somebody gonna be in an orange suit and somebody else gonna be 6 feet under. Because I still had that anger, and so with that being said, he left and never came back. He left, fell off the face of the earth. Like nobody could locate him for about 6 to 7 months, and then come to find out he was dating, or he had posted on Facebook that he was in because nobody really knew, because I was praying, trying to see God on what to do. Even in all of that pain, I still was like wanting to be with this man. Like that's like yourself. You still want to be with somebody that's doing all of this? Like really? And so with that being said, he finally, well, it finally came out that he was, with another young lady that we both knew that worked at the family business. And God released me from the marriage, and I filed for divorce. In the same month we got married, 2 years later, we got a divorce in the same month.
Wow.
And that was in 2015. My grandmother died that same year, the one who raised me. 2015 was a year of recompense. Like get yourself together. Like, whoa, this is a lot. And I never forget, in that pain, I was sitting in my bedroom, and God began to birth these prayers out of me. And the first prayer he birthed out of me was a prayer of forgiveness. And real quick, I'm gonna share that story. I was laying on the floor, crying, hurting. God, why is this happening? It was he had pictures on Facebook, my family sending me screenshots. No, the church didn't know what was going on. So everybody like, oh my God, what the heck? What is going on? And everybody knew we would be together forever. So so I went on and praying. I'm crying out to God, really crying out to God, like, get him. You know how we do. We won't, because I'm just feel like he done did this is too much. I didn't deserve this, right? And so I'm crying out, Lord, get him. Why is he doing this? And she and blah, blah, blah. And God stopped me in my tracks. He said, stop. He said, forgive. And I'm like, God, he said, forgive them. Guess what he said to me? He said, because they are my souls too. They are my children and they are souls.
Mm.
And I said, and that right there birthed out Purpose Prayers, the prayer book that I wrote, um,
Wow.
prayers on purpose with a purpose, praying the word of God. So that, and
Mm.
I birthed out the prayer of forgiveness. Yep.
Wow. Wow. I want to ask you, thank you for being so transparent, because some of that, of course, I didn't know. And I mean, you smiled a lot through it. A couple of times that I was able to come through your business, you were still Shontel to me. You were, wow. I'm kind of floored a little bit, but
A lot of people,
uh,
sister, not
I I want to know what's the greatest. First of all, I want to know, what were you telling yourself while you were in that situation that made you stay? How were you convincing yourself to stay?
that God can do anything but fail. And also, I didn't want another failed marriage. I didn't. So that was part of, it was like God can do anything but fail. And this gotta work because, you know, everybody is rooting for us. And I had to come to the conclusion like this, but once again, I'm thinking about everybody else, what people think. You know what I'm saying, Marcus?
Yeah,
People think what it gonna look like. Bishop's daughter
yeah,
divorced in.
yeah.
She can't keep a man. Like she pretty, but she can't keep. What is wrong with her?
I appreciate this part of this. So I appreciate all of it. I do. I love you for sharing and doing this. But I appreciate what you're saying right now, and you're being transparent, because there is so much pressure, Shontel, for people that stay in relationships because they're concerned about what other people are going to think. It's the antithesis of self-care. We're caring about what everybody else is going to think, not the person that's in that relationship who's broken or hurting or whatever the situation is. I appreciate your sharing that. I mean, that is wow.
That's exactly. And you know what, Marcus? Recently, I went to this conference about a week and a half ago, and I got delivered from that people pleasing spirit
Mm-hmm.
in my life. Because of being growing up as a PK. We had to be in the limelight. And we had to exemplify. I was worried about what people would say if I did this, did that. I just got over. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm too old to worry about what people think at this time. If God is pleased, then everybody else can kick rocks with no socks on.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I wanted to ask you, what would you say besides that lesson of getting delivered from the bless the people? That's what I call it. Bless the people. What's the greatest lesson that you can share with somebody who's holding on to dear life, to something that does not honor and serve them well? It could be a job, it could be a marriage, it could be a house, whatever it is. What would you say was your greatest lesson through that period that you learned that you can share with them?
My greatest lesson was to really, like we talked about in the beginning of this broadcast, is to literally look inside and love yourself enough to lead. I mean, literally be selfish for a moment. Say, if I don't do something different, then nothing's going to change. I had to do something different. People still don't understand my journey, but I don't care anymore. So I had to really put on that. No is a full sentence, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to love you, even outside of my children. I mean, us as women, we put ourselves, be, other people before ourselves all the time. We always, as mothers, come on, we put ourselves, our children, there's what they're doing in school and just everything, your job, your career. But even on the airplane, they tell us if the plane decides to go down, put your own oxygen mask on before you try to help somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm out here, trying to help so many people. People looked up at me, said I was inspiring them because some people knew the things I was going through and saw me still smiling. You never saw it on Facebook. I wasn't on here mad, sad, busted, and disgusted. Whatever I did it in private, and I didn't stay there long. I didn't stay in that place long of distress, So I'll admonish you to get you around some positive people. People have friends or people you can cry with, and they won't let you stay in a place of pity. But they will I'll never forget this lady said, don't pray from a place of pity, from a place of power. And that changed my life because I was crying about some things that were going on in the family. Why does this happen? She said, no, your prayer should be coming from a place of power and not Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. And I was going to ask you if you have affirmations as a part of your self-care, but really you answered that earlier because you said you pray the word of God, and which is full of affirmations, right? Full of the I am, who is declaring what he is and what we are as joint heirs with Jesus and what we are in the inheritance, right? But when you say you pray the word, are there specific scriptures that you like to pray that are affirming for you?
Yes, Psalms 139. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. A workman. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's just a lot of women say that, but that's for everybody. That's for you, men, women, boys, and girls. That's on this earth. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The world, they that the world therein. That's Psalms 24. Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. My grandmother drilled scriptures in us. That's why I thank God for my grandmother. Willie Mae Lewis, honey, rest in peace, rest in heaven. I mean, she Psalms 91 for protection. He who dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And just so many, oh my God, Psalms 34. I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continually be in my mouth. So when I get, what's that, Philippians 4:19, but my God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. I don't know why people go to church if they're not going to use the tools that we have learned there in the Bible. And if you call yourself a child of God, we have access and we have an inheritance that we can go to because our Father, and that's why you got to know and have a relationship with God for yourself.
Thank you for that. I want to ask you this. There are people in and around Love and Stuff and other communities. They are afraid of being alone. They're afraid of not being in a relationship, not feeling the love of a companion, not having that boo or bae on their arm or to go to the movies with or to hang out with. What would you say to them about really getting deep into loving yourself before you get to those next things?
That's a good question, Marcus, because that was me not many days ago or many years. I say, I like I said in the past, I'm gonna say 3 years as far as relationship. We're human, and God created us to have companionship. So innate desire that we have, but when we allow it to overtake us, and somebody said to me the other day, well, I ain't even got one husband. You working on the third one? Well, amen. I'm praying for your first one, and I'm the third one, but I don't focus on it no more. And how do you get to that place? I'll never forget. I did not like being alone because I'm a people person by nature. So reason why I was divorced in 2010. He passed away. My first husband passed away in 12. By 13, I'm back married again. But even in after we divorced in 2010, I was in another relationship with a man that just knew he wasn't right and got engaged to him. And then it was not just that time along with Shontel. And after that last one, I was like, nah, I'm straight. It's been before I've been in a serious relationship since 2015. Right? But I had to come to the conclusion that I need to date myself. So I started taking myself out. I had never been to the movies by myself. I had never been out to eat by myself. It was always if it wasn't with a guy, it was with my female friends. But I literally began to love on Shontel, buy my own flowers, buy my own everything. Independent. Well, independent woman. I'm independent, but that does not mean I don't want to be in a relationship where a man is there to do what God has called. The man comes to heal. He comes to protect. He comes to for security. Comes to cover. Right. And so that's what I desire in this season. But until he comes, I'm gonna keep taking myself out on the day. I'm gonna keep getting my own. I'm here and now. Get my hair, my nails done. All of that. I'm gonna keep. I'm doing. I'm gonna get my credit together like I've been doing. I have my own money. So when he comes, we gonna lock arms together because he got to be on the level I am or higher, and we gonna lock hands together and we're gonna move forward and tear the devil's kingdom down.
I love it. I love it. I think that is it's part of the body and the mind. I think, and I often say that you have to keep practicing the things that stimulate your senses.
That's
So
good.
for you, it might be flowers. You love the smell of them or maybe the touch of them. And you got to keep rehearsing those things or those senses will get dull as to the things that you prefer.
Yeah.
And you got to keep nurturing that part of your mind and part of your body so that you keep that expectation there so that when somebody comes, they come at that level seeing how you have self-care for yourself.
Good.
And it's the same that you talked about for the spirit. You got to keep that same expectation of faith and growth and using the tools, like you said, from the scriptures and the words and affirmations, so that when you align with another person, that self-care is there. It's already the expectation that what you put into me has to be positive. It's got to grow. It's got to be faith bearing, right? Because you can link up with somebody that's never talking faith, never talking growth, right? Emotional abuse. And if you've built up a self-care around feeding yourself spiritually, you're not going to be able to stay in a situation where somebody isn't speaking faith over you.
Yeah, sir, and that's unequally yoked at the end of the day. It's
Yep.
not that with an unbeliever, honey. If we, it's not just about that. It's everything that surrounds a relationship, a thriving relationship. Is there going to be ups and downs? Yeah, it's his life. But how you deal with those ups and downs? Can we get through them together? Can we go around? Man, my second husband, he will walk around for 2 or 3 weeks and not talk to me in the same house.
Wow.
Crazy emotional me. That day, I'm a talker, so I'm like, okay, we can go in our corners for, I say, 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours at the most. But to go weeks, it was crazy. But God is good. He is a deliverer. He will keep you want to be kept.
Yeah. We're talking with Shontel Michelle Jackson, serialpreneur. And as you can see, she's beautiful outside, but also on the inside. And she's sharing with us her journey of beauty from inside out and just transparent. So you got to watch this from the beginning. So whether you're on Facebook Live or Twitch TV, YouTube events, or IG Live, I want you to click, share, and tag someone to join in this conversation with Shontel Michelle, who also does her own podcast and has a 1,000 ventures and is a fiery prophetess and preacher. You ought to want to connect with her on Facebook or whatever platforms that she's on. But I want to pivot because in our conversation, when I was on your live, we talked a little bit about this and you just hit on it. So if a man is unsaved and younger, is he out of the question for you? Because you could get him saved with your praying self. So what do you say? Nope, if he's not saved. But what if he likes you, you like him? Is that something that you would consider?
Let me tell you this. My nail tech to my Well, man looks at the outer, but God looks at the heart. And so I wouldn't say emphatically no. I would literally have to. I wouldn't like count him out if I saw him because I've been there and I've done that. But I didn't do it in the way that I know how to do it now.
Okay.
And that was to look at his heart because he has a heart for God and he's willing to press in. Maybe he doesn't know. For me to go in like, oh, this could be the husband or he trying to date me, I would first take him through the prayer of salvation.
Okay.
And then we will see where his heart really is. And not, I've been in situations where I've had my second, after our divorce, the guy was with right after my divorce, he got saved and he's actually doing really good now, but he got saved, but he would tell you he got saved because he wanted Shontel, right? So he didn't really say, but he who wins souls is wise. He got saved, he stopped smoking weed. It was deep. And so I would say I wouldn't count them all the way out, but I would have to walk cautiously and really pray. Is that my desire? No, that's not on my things to do list. But you know, God can do anything. I'm very aware and convinced and know without a shadow of a doubt that God can do anything but fail. So I wouldn't count them all the way out. Younger, I'm not. I did recently, he's see. Well, watch this. Let me tell you this. So that's why I'm gonna say no to that too, because I've seen so-called Christians, amen, men with titles, heathens. You hear me? Not like I'm like, well, I'm celibate. I ain't signing up for that. And you a whole pastor? Yeah, your face right now. These are things I have endured. I'm telling you, I'm celibate. I don't. Oh no, trying to get me in bed. Have I failed before? Yes. Have I had sex before marriage? Yes. But my desire this season is to really hold myself, and
Mhm.
and so for someone in the church who been in church and they just like, I ain't signing up for that. I'm good. Don't try to get me. And then I have a young man. Actually, I'm talking to one guy, and he said, this is not something that I do, but I respect your morals, and this is something I'm willing to try, and to see how this relationship will go. We're just friends, but he has expressed to me that he desires more than friendship, but he wants to take it slow, and he understands my stand on celibacy.
Mhm. Do you think, I'm just curious, it's kind of tangential, but do you think that men express their like, and maybe not a fully evolved or mature man expresses his like, he thinks that the next step is sex?
Hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that sounds like to me, even for the pastor, bless whomever he is. But that sounds like that's my next way of showing you that I'm really into you, because that's the next expression
And
that I'm wired to.
true, and I don't, to each his own. And this is no disrespect to nobody. And oh Lord, I shouldn't maybe because somebody. Oh Lord, Amen. It's out there now. But anyway, I hope.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. I'm sorry.
No,
We can.
you're fine. You're fine. I'm just like, but you're right. Maybe that is. But I'm trying out here in these streets. But I guess.
Yeah, but Chantel, I think again it is because you said you're soon be 46. Is that right?
Yes.
You don't look 46, number one. You got this, it's a glow. But it might be pheromones, but that's a whole nother show. It's a glow. And so the average brother sees that you are fashionable and poised, but you got this sweetness and this maybe sass that people
Yeah.
might identify as sass, and they see sexy, right? And so it takes another kind of brother to really understand, but wait, she's a woman of prayer. So before you open your mouth, you might attract a different kind of man who's not that
That's
in
so.
here. Because people are aesthetic, we see what we see, and then we're like, oh, I'm on the hunt. I'm going for what I see, instead of watching for a minute and saying, okay, this is a woman of integrity. This is a woman of prayer. Somebody in a conversation within a few minutes will say, oh, you that girl. You're not that girl. But
Right.
maybe the look to them is so pleasing aesthetically that that's where they go.
Yeah, I believe that, and I say it's bittersweet because then I open my mouth and like I get to prophesy because a lot of times God will just drop and I'll prophesy to the guy. He'd be like, "Oh my God!" And then to me that attracts them more. They like, "Oh my God, she knows her. She's reading me." I'm like, "No, God is talking." I'm like, "Lord, this is like a lot." Like I'm just he like saved the soul. So my pastors always say, I ask God to identify the relationship immediately. What is this relate? Why is this man coming into your life, and vice versa? Why did he bring? So begin to ask God to identify what this relationship should be. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it'd be exactly what I like. I'll be like, oh my goodness. Well, he is just the soul.
Yep. I was thinking the same thing. They thinking that they're getting on Vogue and they're getting one of the Clark sisters, but the call is because you're supposed to draw them into the kingdom, and maybe they're just attractive, and it's just building up for you what that little girl once thought of herself, that you weren't attractive. Maybe God is reinforcing to you, yes, you are beautiful. Yes, I called you to be beautiful. And he sends people every now and then to reinforce that in you, because you need that reinforcement to know that you're still in an evolution, to know you're worth everything that God says you're worth.
Amen. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah.
gonna play this so I can hear that part again. That's good because if that's what he's doing, I'm here for it because I'm really here for it. Everybody, I walk in my nail tech. She like, she gets to speaking in tongues. She's like, girl, you about to get married. I see it all over you. I see it all over you. And she don't know how to do that. She's very poised and just laid back. She's quiet. But I'm like, I keep hearing this. Like, it's here. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not focused on it no more. So I think that's why I'm not. I used to focus on it like way too much. But I joke about it a lot though.
Yeah. We're coming to the close. And again, I want to thank you so much. What would you leave us with about your journey or from your journey of being beautiful from the inside out? And I really believe that, Shontel. I'm not just saying that because we're on the cameras. I've always thought that. Like I said, I didn't get the mean side from you.
Right.
Even when you were, and I didn't know you were 400 pounds, but even when you were larger, you always were personable and kind and gracious. And those things, I think, attract people to the inner self more than just the outer self. But on your journey of loving yourself from the inside out, being beautiful from the inside out, what would you leave women and men with about their journey of caring and loving themselves?
Well, definitely you want to always have God in the forefront of whatever you do. When you loving yourself, because there's a lot of things out here that teach loving yourself, but it's not God based. And I want you to understand that we are three parts. We are spirit, soul, and body.
Mm-hmm.
So our spirit man will live forever. Our
Mm-hmm.
soul is where our emotions are and all the intellect and the thoughts. And so our natural is where we dress up. But a lot of people are feeding the natural with different things, food, this, social media, trying to get likes. And I've been there. Who like my picture? Oh Lord, who like? God said it's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I begin to focus on Shontel, this right here, first, especially the mind. I'll never forget. I preached the message. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, and that was a saying back from I think the United Negro College Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible thing that they said. We don't feed this right here with the things of God, our ear gates and our eye gates, what we look at, what we're watching, what we're feeding into the spirit that will live forever.
Mm-hmm.
Then you are a lost cause. I don't care. It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Our spirit, everything that happens in the earth happens in the spirit realm first, and then
Mm-hmm.
it produces in the natural.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, whatever a man thinks in his heart, so is
Mm-hmm. So is he.
yeah. So as you begin to focus on you, focus on your mindset,
Mm-hmm.
focus on that inner healing, the inner child, the child. Some of you are dealing with childhood trauma that you never dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you are going through and you got stuck when you were molested. You got stuck when you maybe been raped. You got stuck at that point where you may have been told you were just like your daddy, who was a drug addict or alcoholic, or Papa was a Rolling Stone. You got stuck in that seed that was planted. So now you got to reprogram your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I began to reprogram my mind, Marcus, and even though I thought, I grew up in faith, I done did some faith walks. People who would never do some things that I've done faith-wise. And I could tell that story on another thing. And some of the things, leaps of faith I took, I just knew my mind. But no, I was still stuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, somebody called my phone, but I was still stuck.
Oh.
I was still. But I would encourage you to feed the inner man, to feed the inner woman. I'm sorry, to feed your inner man with the
Mm-hmm.
word of God, with
Mm-hmm.
positive affirmations. If you don't understand the Bible, it's okay. Pick it up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Put it up. Put it in your forefront. The word of God is going to stand. And your affirmations, if you just do positive affirmations, get around people who pour into you, who love on you. Love. Come on, somebody. Love and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And gratitude. Grateful, even for what you may not have and the things that God already done, because there's more to come. So that's what I would say.
Wonderful. And I just want to add to that because you mentioned earlier, and I just wanted to double back to it. You talked to a therapist.
Oh, yes, honey. And I got a coach.
And a
Yep.
coach.
Yep, I didn't even think, you be hearing that, you be like, that don't work. Yes, it do. I got a mindset coach. That's
Mhm.
my coach. Then I began to go to therapy, Healing Hearts. It's a therapy agency out in Carolinas, but they I know the owners, and they actually did Zoom calls,
Mm.
and I began to go back to things I thought I was healed from, and that
Mhm.
stuff they started pulling that from the root, and honey, it was a blessing. So yes, therapy is
Mm.
very important for all of us. Deliverance, all of that, deliverance therapy, whatever it takes, do it.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Shontel Michelle Jackson, entrepreneur, serialpreneur, um, marketing guru, all of the stuff that you do. I'm so proud that you're on this journey. I'm so glad that you will share. Will you please come back so that you can talk more about your journey and more about the things that you're doing? I think so many women, especially, but men as well, I think you're right. We do caregiving for parents. I know I was a caregiver for my mother,
Wow.
and caregiving for children, and working for someone else's business, and doing everything to care and have custody over everything but yourself. And yourself can be so neglected. And sometimes it's a worthiness issue that we haven't been awakened that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we should invest in ourselves. And matter of fact, that's what God intended for us to do, that we would take the love that He's given us as a tool and resource through the word, as you said, as an affirmation to build up who we are. And then we can really truly love other people when we get love and self care for ourselves right. And so I'm so
Absolutely.
glad to have you here. I appreciate you for coming, and I hope that
Thank
you will come back.
I absolutely will. This has been such a healing, just talking about and sharing my testimony is always healing. And I pray somebody was blessed. Thank you, Marcus, for the opportunity to come on. Yes, we've been knowing each other for a long time, and I love and stuff. So this is awesome. So thank you again for the opportunity to share my story. And I hope someone was helped.
I know it's helping me.
Amen.
Um, and it encouraged me because you went through quite a bit, Shontel, that I would have not even known the way that you carried it in the spirit of, but you would have gotten that, I think, from you described your grandmother, your mother, your bonus mom, all of them built that into you about still having that grit and resilience, still being able to consider that God is ultimately in control and holding fast to your faith, and to
Yeah.
keep persevering. But sometimes when you're going through, you want to look like you're going through. You want to feel like you're going through. But what I'm learning and hearing from you, you can still pick yourself up and say, okay, I'm going to come out of this on the other side. I'm still going to pray my way through. And I'm not going to put all of my problems on social media. And I'm not going to involve everybody in it. I'm going to keep pressing my way through and keep praying about it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And being your testimony and letting people know, yeah, I've been through some stuff. But look,
Yeah.
I don't look like I've been through, Marcus. To God
Yeah.
be the glory.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you, Marcus. Have a good night. My son is so mad at me. Y'all pray. He out the car. Wait.
Okay.
He'll be all right. God bless you. Thank you. I don't know how to get off. How you get off? Kick me
There
off.
should be a button. I'm gonna put you in the green room, but there should be a
Oh,
button you can hit.
oh,
All right. I'm so excited that you were able to hear Shontel's story. What an awesome person she's been over the many years that I've known her. And just like her, you have to be on a journey. I have to be on a journey of self care that leads to the self love that's about beautifying the inside. I think African Americans especially understand how to beautify the outside. Fellas, you know you'll pay $25, $30 for a haircut and razor shave and all that, right? Ladies, you know you got a quick weave, you got a quick wig, you got a lace front, you got some bundles, you got some nails, you got an extra pair of nails somewhere just in case you can't get to the nail salon, right? You got a pedicure and the polish matched your fingernails, and which matches your sundress, right? We know how to put all that together. We know how to Ladies, beat out your face and which concealer and toner and how to blend it and mix it, right? You're watching YouTube videos, you're watching the Glam Dr. Rashida to get lessons on how to do that. We know how to do the outside. You know how to put those eyelashes in, even the whole strip or one by one. You know how to put them in. You know how to do the waxes so that you can't see hair on the legs. You know all that stuff, right? But what about the beauty inside of you? How gorgeous are you inside? How handsome am I inside? Right? I smell good because I've got my favorite colognes and you got your favorite fragrances, right? So that when somebody walks past and they get a whiff of you, but what's the aroma like on the inside? What's your temperament? What's your stance on grace and forgiveness? How does that smell, right? How beautiful are we on the inside? I think self-care starts with your worthiness to know that God created you to love yourself. And in so doing, you've got to beautify, care for the inside. You've got to nourish your mind, body, and soul. But oftentimes the nourishment just stops at the body. Our brains, our great God designed our brains that a part of our cortex wants to be disengaged from fight and flight so that you can build up your self-reference, how you see yourself in times of learning, in times of growth, in times of faith, in times of gratitude. And if you get those right, you begin to work on the self-care and beautification from the inside out, because you come to be awakened to you are worthy of self-love and care. And you begin to, like Shontel, nourish yourselves with scriptures or words of affirmation that build up the I am in you. So that when those diminishing voices and limiting thoughts speak to you and say, you cannot, you are not, you begin to challenge them and say, why am I not? Why can I not? I am. You begin to nourish your mind so that your brain begins to build muscle memory about who you are and what you refer back to learn more of who you are. See, the learning and evolution of self doesn't end once you are awakened that you're worthy. You must nurture the worthiness in you. It's a part of the self-care. Self-care is not one spa trip. It's not one pedicure or manicure. It's over and over as you begin to take care of those particular areas that your muscles begin to become more agile. You become more sensual, right? Your health of nails and health of your feet began to improve the more you take care of them. It is a process that happens over and over. It's the same for your mind and your spirit, as Shontel said. You must continue to nurture and care for them and make a part of your agenda beautification of the inside to the outside. We're in spring around the world, and I bet somewhere near you there are plants springing up, beautiful flowers growing, maybe even in your yard or garden. Somebody had to plant those seeds, and somebody is nurturing those things. What about the flower, the seed in you? Are you seeking to make beautiful what is inside? It's beauty. For all of the ashes of pain and emotional abuse that you might have experienced, like Shontel, you still get to blow the dust off those ashes and try again so that you achieve beauty from the inside out. I'm Marcus Holmes, and I hope that you have been enlightened by Shontel's story. We're going to have her back. She's a phenomenal woman who is beautiful from the inside out, as are many of you. Some of you are walking into it and some of you just don't know it yet. It's okay. Start your journey today. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are gorgeous. And if you don't believe it, it won't come from the inside out. I hope that you will join us in the Love and Stuff community by clicking follow. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. And whether you are on other platforms, come on and come to Facebook and click on follow. Follow us there. While we broadcast to all of the platforms, you have the opportunity to meet some amazing people in the Love and Stuff community who are all on the same journey to increase the love in this world. See, it starts with you and me understanding that God is love. He is the quintessential. He is love. And that he has so fashioned us in his image that he wants this reciprocity from us, you see. He's put love seed in us so that we germinate and grow up love, that we love him with everything that we have, and then our neighbors as ourselves. That's right. You don't get to love your neighbor in a different way or method that you would use to love yourself. The love that you have for husband, neighbor, community, and anybody outside of this relationship with God comes from that relationship. It is an expression of that relationship. It is a derivative of that relationship, a function of that relationship. And so we're all in some area of our lives, whether you're seeking to have that mate, that bae or boo, whether you're seeking to have a better relationship with your children or your parents, your siblings or your coworkers, your community or your friends. Let's impact the world by upping our love game, just one moment of beauty from inside out at a time. You can also go to our page and purchase any of our Love and Stuff gear. And you can also purchase the Gratefulness Journey every day. What are you doing in the next 30 days to transform your life? I hope you will click share and tag someone to keep this conversation going about beauty from the inside out, because there are billions of dollars going into the beauty business. And I want the people that are in that business to get their share. But there are billions of dollars of value inside of you. Let's nurture it. Let's get it out. Let's be it, the very best that we can be from the inside out. Have a great night. I hope to see you along this gratefulness journey. And I hope that you will think about your own self-care and get on a journey to start loving yourself from the inside out. Have a great night.